Hi, welcome back to Outdoor Gear and Skills. Got a little bit of a rainy day. Today it's June 2nd, and I just want to talk about a mountain bike ride that I did yesterday. So before that, about 3 years ago, a little more than 3 years ago, I was trying to do a 30-mile mountain bike ride down near St. George, Utah. I was parked in Virgin. I went up the Gem Trail, Dead Ringer, more Cowbell. I was riding around there. And I was able to hit my 30 miles. I actually hit almost 34 miles. And I did a quick video back then. But on that ride, I forgot a lot of things. I hadn't done a 20 mile, plus ride for quite some time. So I forgot to drink Gatorade or Powerade. Typically, I would go off of I-15. I'd have about a 40-minute window or something getting to the trail, so I'd start drinking Gatorade, that kind of thing. Back then I wasn't using pickle juice or anything like that. So I went up to Bend and was riding the day before Easter this year, so just a little bit ago, and put down a really awesome 20-mile ride, and then went and hung out with my wife for about 5 hours, and then came back home. So everyone's out of town, and I did a lot of painting and everything on Friday, so I just wanted to take a break. And I really wanted to hit, a 35-mile ride. That was kind of my goal. I want to do a 50-mile ride as well, and that's going to take a lot of planning and the right season and trail system to be able to pull that off. So yesterday I woke up early. And I woke up a lot throughout the night. I think I was kind of anxious about the ride and getting up there. And so I got an early start. And I started riding, and I hydrated. I drank Gatorade, quite a bit of Gatorade. I had some salty peanuts. I drank pickled juice. Took my magnesium the night before. And thankfully this time the cramps didn't start until mile 23 on a 35 goal ride. When I was down in St. George, I got cramps at mile 12 trying to do a 30-mile ride, and my cramps were much, much worse 3 years ago in St. George. So this one I was doing pretty well, and I actually crashed at one point. The trail was really smooth and it was flat and it was kind of hot, so I had my helmet off and I kind of whipped around a corner on a flat section, and there was a big rock there I couldn't avoid, and actually flipped over the handlebars and landed in really soft dirt. So that was a blessing. So put the helmet back on and started riding. And there were a lot of helpful people out there that were telling me, kind of where to go, how good trails were, that kind of thing. And so that was really helpful. So I got back to the parking lot doing trails that I did back on Easter weekend. And I was a little over 16 miles, so I replenished my Camelback and got more water. I actually put some Prime powder mix in there that I got at Costco and shook it up really well, and that helped. And then I went up this other trail and went and did this big loop. I actually bonked on miles 18 to 21. I just no energy. I always felt like I was going really slow. And I had my Spotify rock playlist going, and I just felt like trash though. And then I kind of picked it up after mile 21. I kind of got my legs back a little bit, which typically doesn't happen. Once my legs go, I'm done. But I kind of got them back, and I got a leg cramp at mile 23, and then I got a cramp in my other leg at mile 27. So I had to stop and stretch a couple times, and when I kind of felt the cramps hitting me a little bit, I stopped. But when I got to about mile probably 22, I don't know, somewhere between 22 and 25, I started to think about if I should overshoot my 35-mile goal and go for 40 miles. And I did this big loop, and I just kept going and kind of just grinding through the whole thing, and took breaks when I needed to. Came across a welcome center that had a drinking fountain, so I was able to get even more water. So I probably went through about 130 or 140 ounces of water. So one of the challenges is I can't carry that much water on a ride, without having stops or getting back to the trailhead and going to the truck and getting more water. But I was able to do that and keep going. And when I got back down to the trailhead, I was over 35 miles. So I had my goal, and my legs were tired. They were kind of cramping, and so I knew I needed to go past that and hit 40 miles. So I went up Kent's Trail. I went up for a while. I started climbing a little bit on that trail, and all of a sudden I looked down on my Apple Watch and I had less than 10% battery left. Like, if this, I was just really thinking in my mind, if this watch dies on me and does not record my ride after all this stuff I'm doing, I'm going to be really pissed. So I was able to get up, hit where I knew I would get. So I got back, ended up riding over 41 miles. So that was my biggest ride. And I rode more miles yesterday than I did all of May. With everything going on, I haven't been able to ride a lot. And, it's really kind of disappointing to me. I'd have a lot more miles typically by now. But several, things that I kind of took away from that ride is proper hydration, taking vitamins, things like that, making sure I had pickle juice, and making sure that I had plenty of water that I could get back to it, and ice and things that I could keep me going. I had music to kind of keep a pace going, but I was not going to stop, barring catastrophic mechanical or body failure from a crash or something, until I hit my 35 miles. And when I got back to the trailhead and I had over 35 miles, I just thought, you know what, screw this. I need to go farther. It hurts. I'm really tired. It's taken me much longer than I thought it would, which is pretty typical for how things, work out. Everything seems to take longer. But I'm glad I pushed through it. And I feel like, there's just so many people out there, and I do it sometimes as well. I'm not excluding myself from that, but we just tend to shy away from doing hard things. And our country has a history of doing difficult things. We build huge bridges, we build skyscrapers, we put people into outer space, we do all these crazy cool things. And a lot of times people are just, shy away from doing something just because it's difficult. And I read David Goggins' book, Can't Hurt Me, last year. And that guy would go out and do some crazy stuff. I call it crazy because some of the stuff he did, I would be a little concerned if that was me, that I was doing permanent damage to my body, to my knees or my feet. But he just kept going. And, it's such an inspiration to me of, you push through the difficulty, but every time we do something difficult and we do it because it's difficult, it makes us stronger, it builds our confidence, it allows us to go farther and farther, and just keep doing things. And especially as I'm getting older, I'm in my 50s now, I want to go out and get stuff done. I want to do difficult things. I want to do things that I didn't try to do when I was in my 30s and 40s. This 41-mile bike ride is the biggest off-road mountain bike ride that I've ever done. I've done rides on my road bike that I used to have where I did up to 105 miles, I think was the most I did. But for 4 years in a row, I did the Pony Express Century ride, so it was a little over 100 miles, and I did that in Eagle Mountain, Utah. And that was great, and it had its own difficulties. 6 hours for me is roughly what it took each time. And that's a lot of saddle time. And a lot of times there were headwinds and things like that that made it difficult. And yesterday I was on my bike for a little over 4.5 hours, 4 hours and 35 minutes. And that's a long time to be sitting on a bike seat. And I typically stand all day. I don't like sitting in a desk. I like standing up. And it just keeps me a little more engaged and all that kind of thing. And so to be sitting on a mountain bike for that long and plus sitting for the 3 hour drive up to Bend and then the 3 hour drive home. So it made for a really long day, but I was actually able to put that in my journal of one of the 200 best experiences of my life, which is actually over 400 now, and I'll talk about that at another time. But I love the idea of going out and doing difficult things, getting after it, pushing, grinding, willpower, determination, discipline, whatever, pushing through stuff. And every time we shy away from something difficult, it makes it easier and easier to just step away, to the point where, you know, we're not going to be able to do difficult things when we're called upon to do that. So I would love to hear what difficult things you guys have faced, what challenges have you pushed through, and you know what your thoughts are on the subject. Maybe I'm way off. I don't think I am, but you know, for me, that's how I want to operate, and you know, that's kind of my system for trying to do stuff. I love to hike big mountains. I like to do big rides. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on that. As always, thanks for watching Outdoor Gear and Skills, and we'll see you out there.